circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire.
Welcome back, witches, to another episode of Witches of the Moon. I'm your Monday hostess, Natalie, and this week's topic is flying. That's correct. We are in week 13. Our topic is flying. And before I get into the video itself, I do want to make a small announcement. This is our giveaway week. What does that mean for you? If you are new to the channel, every season, at the end of the season, sometime between seasons, we do a giveaway where we have each person in the group has donated or brought together, made, purchased different items for a nice giveaway box to reward you as a viewer. We choose one viewer each season, and the drawing is random. In order to be entered into the drawing for the giveaway, you must watch and comment something on every host's video for the week. So Monday through Sunday, you would just leave a little comment on each host's video. It could be something as simple as nice or thank you or some constructive criticism, and then your name will be entered and we do a random draw, and I have a separate video for that. Anyhow, that would be this week. So this week, if you want to be entered in the drawing, then please make sure that you watch and comment on each host's video for the week. Now, flying is an odd topic. There's a lot of debate. I could go into the historical context of flying. I'll probably talk about that a little bit, and then I'll give you my perspective on flying. Remember that this is each individual host's view on the topic, okay? So historically, people felt that witches flew for a couple of reasons. For one, people were engaging in what was known as sympathetic magic, and we talked about that earlier in, I think, this season. Can't remember if it was this season or last, but we talked about sympathetic magic versus practical magic. Sympathetic magic was used particularly in terms of farming. Remember, back in this time, most society was agricultural. You did have some trade and a little bit of textiles, but mostly it was farming. These were farming communities. And so in order to get the crops to grow the way they wanted them to, they would jump and kind of do these ceremonies where they were, jumping and trying to show the plants how high they should grow. So what happens then, you have people who are unfamiliar with this practice or who disagree with this practice, and they say, oh, they're flying because they see them in the air, right? The other context flying has been mentioned in historically in context to witchcraft was that witches often used mind-altering substances to help them to visualize better. Now, that in and of itself is somewhat of a shamanic practice. Not all shamans use mind-altering substances, okay? I'm just going to put that out there, but some do. A lot of cultures engage in drinking certain things that, have substances that could make you kind of sick, and they definitely send your mind on an interesting ride. So that was another context. It was believed that witches would put these substances on their brooms and then rub themselves on their brooms because the tissues of that area are very sensitive and therefore would be a quick route to getting the ingredients into the system. And so the witches themselves either imagined themselves flying, or people thought, oh, wow, because they see this weird ecstatic action by the witch and they think, oh, okay, well, she's trying to fly, and probably ran away in fear. However, flying in reality is somewhat of a transcendental type of activity. In other words, you are using some method, whether it be just meditation, whether it be music. Music can be very transcendental and can lead to flying, or something else. Some form of scrying can shift your state of consciousness to the point where you are transported. When I was a child, I was I still am an avid reader. I don't have as much time now to read for pleasure as I did as a child, but I read a lot. And my mother would tell me that she would be fearful when I would read because I was not there anymore. I was transported to wherever the story was taking place. And so for me, reading was a shifting of that consciousness, and I was flying. I was literally out somewhere other than where I was. My soul had disconnected from my body, and spiritually I was in another place. That is a form of flying. So even something as simple as reading could be an activity that sends you flying. Okay. In my humble opinion, flying is simply when you shift your state of consciousness to put your soul or your spirit self someplace else. So dreaming is a form of flying. A transcendental meditation leads to flying. When I, as a bard, enter my sacred grove, that is a form of flying. I am transporting myself from the physical location where my body is to a new location where I am somewhere else. Okay. People who do not have a lot of imagination have a hard time grasping this or doing this often, I have found. It often takes a lot of work with these people to get them to let go of whatever's keeping them in the reality, to allow themselves to travel out. My husband is a great example. He has got zero imagination. I mean, I don't know how the man survives, because to be honest with you, looking back on my life, flying was my survival. Reading was my escape. I was not here. I was somewhere else. I was someone else. Acting for me was also a form of flying. I was active with the drama in high school, in junior high school and elementary school, and that for me was a form of flying because I literally transported my soul to another place and time, and I became that character. And so in a way, I would think that could definitely lead to a form of flying. You know, if you are acting out something, you are transporting yourself. Think back to the movie Practical Magic, for those of you that have seen it. The scene where Jillian goes into the bathroom, and we kind of get the hint that her boyfriend, maybe there's something wrong there, because he wants to follow her into the bathroom. And she says, you know, Angela, I'm going to the bathroom. And I'm teasing. But she gets a call from her sister psychically, and she begins to scry in the mirror. And, you know, you see her driving down the road, you know, she is flying at that moment. Her physical body is still in the bathroom, but her soul is now connecting with her sister in another locale. And they're having this conversation about their boyfriends and, you know, how much she misses her. And she's helping her sister, but she's doing it through flying. She is not physically there, which is why when the other sister wakes up, Jillian is gone, right? She has spiritually been there. Although she's using the mirror as a scrying device, scrying is her method for beginning the flight. She is flying. Her soul is disconnected from her body and she's somewhere else. Now, your soul always stays tethered to the body, at least you want it to. Stay tethered so you can draw yourself back. So if something shocking happens, you can bring yourself back in, like, you know, you run into a pole while you're reading and walking. Not that ever happened to me or anything. You almost run out in front of a car, that sort of thing. But flying is a method for transporting your spiritual self to a locale different from where your body physically is. So daydreaming would be a form of flying as well. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people, especially at work, or now that we're stuck in our homes, flying is an excellent escape. You just kind of stare out the window and your mind is elsewhere, right? That is a form of flying in my humble opinion. So you are literally elsewhere. People who daydream a lot are in the astral travel all the time. Astral traveling is flying. When you are out in another area, you're not here. You are not here. You're not hearing anything. You're not seeing anything. You are physically somewhere else. Now, you can be brought back to your body at any point. Dreaming, daydreaming, imagining of any sort, any type of astral travel, whether you're physically purposely doing it or it's happening in your sleep or you're daydreaming, so you're not really intending it, but you're kind of intending it, I guess would be a good way to put it. People think of daydreaming as just daydreaming, right? But what is dreaming? Dreaming is astral travel. It is a way for us to connect on that astral plane and to project ourselves. When I send messages to people, because I sometimes do that, I will reach out to people in a psychic manner. I usually do it while I am flying. I will fly to that person and tell them, call me, get in touch with me. I need to speak to you. I'd like to speak to you. I need to talk to someone. I miss you, something of that sort. And I know the message has been received because they call me or they write me or something like that. That is a form of flying as well. So flying can be a very valuable tool in terms of reaching out to your spirit guides. When you enter into a transcendental state of meditation and you are connecting physically, spiritually to your guides, that is a form of flying. You are out there. If you are physically transporting, or I don't want to say physically, if you are spiritually transporting yourself from your mind to some other location, even for the purposes of just deconnecting and recharging, such as when I go to my sacred grove, that is a form of flying. I am flying to my grove and I am there for that time that I am there. I can be interrupted, I can be brought back to the physical plane, but I'm on another level. I'm somewhere else. And when you are dreaming, it's kind of like being in that little state right before you actually fall asleep, when you first begin to dream and you're kind of semi-conscious of what's going on, but you're really not. You're kind of now engaging and you find yourself questioning, is that happening or is this a dream? Sometimes it's actually happening and that will pull you out of the flying state. Like, say for example, you were getting ready to go to sleep and you're kind of starting to get into that flying state. You're dreaming, so you're starting to fly. Your spirit is disconnecting and going into the third and fourth and fifth dimensions. And then you hear a noise outside your window. And suddenly you're awake, right? You were flying, you were beginning the flight, but you've been drawn back. So it's not that you can't be drawn back when you're flying. And flying isn't a physical state. It is a spiritual third dimension. Well, not really third. This is the third dimension. The fifth dimension and beyond, fourth and fifth dimension. It begins in the fourth dimension, the dimension of mind, and it moves into the fifth and higher dimensions as you travel more. Now, the more that you work to that, the more that you work to visualize yourself someplace else, the better and more adept at flying you will become. So that kind of gives you an idea on how to do it. You could start out with guided meditations. Guided meditations are an excellent way to begin working on flying because you have someone guiding you to something you can focus your mind on until you get to a point where you can focus your mind for yourself and physically smell things, touch things, see things, hear things. Connecting with your spirit guides and hearing their voices as they talk to you and give you information, family members, ancestors who have passed on. Flying is an excellent method for reaching that point, and that's what you're doing when you engage in transcendental meditation or any type of astral travel. Flying can be accomplished using mind-altering substances. I personally don't use those often. I do have a flying ointment that I create that I will rub on my temples. I rub it behind my ears and on my wrists, but I only use it if I'm not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. You do not want to be using things like that and then operating machinery, cooking, getting into a car, anything of that nature. So sometimes I will use them if I know I'm going to be home all day, or if I am going to sleep. I'll use them before I go to sleep to bring myself to a state. Now, there's nothing illegal in what I'm using, so before you go, what are you putting in your flying ointment? It is a traditional recipe, but There is nothing that is illegal. I do not use illegal substances of any kind. Alcohol can be used for flying, but I find my best flying is induced with music such as drum beats, and Om meditation. I will sometimes use flying ointment to aid me in relaxing my mind and in transporting myself. But I do the bulk of that kind of work in the evenings when I'm relaxing and I'm ready to enter into a dream state. Or if I don't have to travel anywhere. So I'll do it like in the middle of the afternoon if I'm home all day. I don't ever do it when I'm out somewhere else. Now, except in the instance of if I need to ground myself, I will go to my sacred grove. I will fly to my sacred grove. And I've gotten to a point now where I can do that strictly in my mind 5 minutes or less. I can be there. I can physically feel the earth beneath my feet. I can smell the trees around me. I can hear the rustling of the trees. And I can do it with lots of distraction in the area. Sound, noise, people talking, what have you. But that takes work, right? Anything worthwhile takes a lot of work. And so flying doesn't just happen for most people. It's something that you have to work at to get adept with. And when you get there, you'll know it. Trust me. So I hope that you guys gained a little bit of information. I'm interested in seeing the other host's perspective. I suspect I know at least one host that shares kind of a similar view on flying that I do, just from conversations we've had in the past. But I'm anxious to see what the other hosts have to say this week. So remember, if you want to be entered in the giveaway, you must comment on every host's video for the week. Something pertinent to their video. Thank you so very much for watching. We appreciate all of your support. Blessed be.